Power Project crew, welcome to today's show. Today is April 7th. However, this episode was recorded on March 29th. And I just want to preface that because, as you guys know, it seems like news is coming out every hour or so. And, you know, with some of the episodes that we've expedited to put in front of some of these episodes that we recorded previously, some of the information, some of the verbiage, some of the things that we said, you know, they probably have changed. So I just wanted to preface that and let you guys know that this is a little bit older. However, it is an amazing show. We had an awesome conversation with our boy, Jason Poston. Jason Poston is an IFBB Pro. On top of that, he is the first type 1 diabetic to ever walk the stage at the Olympia. Again, really awesome conversation. This is a very unique podcast that would only happen because of the self-quarantine and the social distancing, because we actually recorded all the way through 7 p.m. So this officially makes it our the latest podcast we've ever recorded. Jason actually gave us a tour of his home gym. Again, something that would never have happened if we were doing this in the studio. So again, that was really, really cool. That's one of the good things that could come out of the, the lockdown and whatnot. But anyways, Jason's awesome. He told us that a low carb / keto diet is just what makes him feel better. So when you think of bodybuilders, you think high carbs. He was on stage with intaking anywhere from 0 to 50 grams of carbs per day, which is insane when you think about that, right? You know, bodybuilders usually higher carb, not Jason. So we got into a lot of bodybuilding, a lot of what motivated him to even try to get on stage, and turns out it was actually getting type 1 diabetes is what kind of fueled his fire to actually get up on stage. And of course, we talked about the coronavirus and the lockdown and how that is actually affecting Jason and his businesses. So all around, a great conversation. It was really cool hearing Jason talk about a low carb diet. And one of the best ways to dip your toes into a low carb diet or even a ketogenic diet is, of course, with Perfect Keto. Perfect Keto has a ton of products that are going to help you on a low carb or ketogenic diet. My absolute favorite right now is the salted caramel MCT oil powder. I mix that in with my coffee every single morning. It helps me on my fast, and really it just makes my coffee taste amazing. Although I can do black coffee, I'm obviously going to prefer having something with flavor, and that's what the MCT oil powder does, but it does so much more than that. It gives me extra fuel. Like I said, it suppresses my hunger. Their new chocolate chip cookies are insane. I do not understand how something like that can be low sugar, low glycemic. It doesn't mess up your insulin levels. It doesn't make any sense to me. However, what does make sense is how delicious it is. Really, I mean, they got pea strips. They have the electrolyte tablets that we talk about. They got collagen protein. They got regular whey protein. Everything you need to be on a ketogenic or low carb diet and to do it right. If you guys are interested, please head over to perfectketo.com/power25 at checkout. Enter promo code PowerProject for $25 off any order of $99 or more. And on top of that, you're going to receive free shipping. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. If you guys like what Jason's saying, please find his social media links down in the YouTube description or the iTunes show notes. Hit him up and let him know what you think. And ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the show. Are you
my shaking time?
Are you drinking Windex again?
It dribbled out a little bit. Yeah, does that ever happen to you guys?
Every now and
all
then.
The time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's going on today, guys?
Not much. How about yourself?
Just got back from bodega. Got in a good workout over here. Did a bunch of lunges.
Nice.
That felt really good.
Ooh.
I did about 20 minutes of lunges. A little bit. I went that way on the turf and then walked back. Did a little shadow boxing in between. Keep the heart rate up. And did some backwards lunges.
Oof.
And then like halfway through, I made a deal with myself that if any time that I like miscalculated and kind of stumbled, I had to start over.
Oh.
I was kind of making it like football practice. Like if I messed up, then the whole team had to do it.
That's frustrating.
It wasn't good. I had to restart a lot.
It's a good way to torture yourself.
All your other teammates are all mad at you because you had to do extra work.
You're the one guy slowing everybody else down.
What can you tell us about Jason?
Just somebody I've been following for a long time. He's a IFBB Pro. He's super jacked, and he's been following a lot of my stuff, but he wasn't aware of this podcast until I told him. And then he was like, how did I miss this? And he was watching the Eddie Hall one today, and he was pumped up about it. He was excited about it. But basically I made a comment on IG, you know, I'm just sending out some of these like tweets and Instagram posts, just trying to get people to think. And what's happening, I saw Dr. Paul Saladino make a comment about this as well. And he said, anyone with different thinking is being like people are really flipping out. And kind of rightfully so. I mean, we're at a dangerous time, so no one knows what's best, but I still think it's a good time to still think. And it's a good time to consider, you know, what are some other possibilities. So I just said, hey, do you guys kind of think the quarantine is useful and it's effective and it's helping us get where we want to go? Or do you feel that it's making things worse or the same? And he just wrote worse. So I was like, hey, let's talk to him. Let's see what he's got to say about this topic. Not that he's an expert in the topic, but I don't think anybody really is, because what I'm noticing is, you know, some people are saying, hey, quarantine's great. Like, this is the way to go. This slows everything down. And there's other people saying, actually, that's not true, because we don't know much of anything unless you get tested. And then there's other people saying that it's not even just about getting tested. There's two different types of tests that you would have to get. One is to see if you ever developed an immunity to this, because if you did, then you're kind of free to go. You can go about your business and you're not going to get anybody else sick. And you can't get sick anymore. And you may have built up the immunity for life. They don't really know. But these proteins should be built up in your system for a long time. And then there's the other thing to test for, which is just being sick. And if you're sick, obviously you need to be isolated. But we don't know who's sick and who's not sick. However, it does make sense to put everything on pause for a while, because maybe we can all just be sick at home.
Yeah,
and not get other people sick, right?
Yeah, and it's tough too, because we have someone like, you know, Gabrielle Lyon, like she'll check in, you know, with us regularly and be like, so how are your parents doing? And I'm just like, they still don't want to listen. And, you know, she'll make a huge thing about it, like they need to stay home, they need to stay home. But then, you know, yeah, it is kind of like, well, shit, like, is it going to help if I stay home too? Like, or is that just going to hurt more because, you know, like with my job or something, you know, like, and me as in like the average person, not me, like actually me right now.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to make sense of, because it seems like sitting back doing nothing never really makes sense, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You get a chance to train today?
Yeah, actually, I woke up not feeling fantastic. I don't know. My head's been bugging me all day long. Maybe the quarantine's finally getting to me. But I had every intention on going into super training, and I just woke up feeling like shit. So I'm like over, you know, my fiance, she does a lot of home workouts and stuff. And I'm like, hey, do you got something that you can like program for me for the day? And sure enough, she threw on a chest and tricep workout, and man, dude, it crushed me. I was surprised. I thought for sure, I was like, this bullshit. And no, I gave it my all, and man, it kicked my butt. It was awesome. So yeah, I got some pecticles and some tricepticals. It felt good.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Coming in hot. He doesn't look that built right there. Oh, there he is.
Hopefully he's got the skinny filter on.
Oh yeah, is there a skinny filter?
There should be. Chicks do it all the time.
How about a fat filter?
You guys are fancy. Hey guys, I'll be right back.
Yeah, man, take your time.
It's a diabetic thing. I'm low right now. I'm just gonna go get a whole bunch of candy. Be right back.
Oh,
that's amazing.
That's interesting.
I want to get a bunch of candy.
Yeah, I did screw up today though, because I wasn't, you know, super pumped to just work out at home. So I took a pretty aggressive pre-workout, and I still haven't recovered from it.
Oh,
it was like I was shaky, dude. Yeah, even just like locking out like a chest press, my whole body's like trembling, and I'm like, this isn't normal, right? Like this isn't supposed to happen. But yeah, I'm definitely not gonna do anything like that on an empty stomach again.
You still fasted right now, or did you eat?
No. I ate as soon as the workout was done. I was eating.
Good. There's a banana.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't want to eat this on video, but I'll go like this. That doesn't help. That doesn't help.
It doesn't help at all.
No, but
You got to make sure the eyes are closed.
definitely not doing that.
So what's up with this diabetes thing, man? How do you manage that?
You know what? I mean, obviously hypoglycemia is going to come and go randomly when you're type 1. Like, you never know when it can hit. You can monitor it. I normally have the Dexcom. It's an app on my phone and watch. There's a sensor that I put, anywhere in the body. I put it on my top thigh, and that reads your blood glucose every 3 minutes. Well, through all this, I haven't been able to get in contact, even though it is a necessity. And I don't know if other type 1s are dealing with this, but I haven't been able to get in contact with the people who send me. It's a third-party company. They go through the insurance and ship me new sensors that go on the leg. So anyways, I'm doing it old school just for the last month. Been testing, pricking my finger. So I just slammed a workout real quick. And post-workout, sometimes I'll go low if I don't get in sugars. So
The sensors, they just like go through your body and somehow check your blood glucose?
Well, there's a wire that goes up the penis, and I'm just kidding. No, it's you do attach it yourself. I wish I had one. I might have one.
It's just on your skin, though. It's not like inside your body or anything. You have to shove it up your ass or nothing.
Thank God, no. Even though if it helped me live better, I might be open to it. That's how bad diabetes sucks.
How long have you been diabetic?
Man, I was 29. It was late in life. So it's an autoimmune disease, and just boom, happened. Like, I remember one weekend, all of a sudden was just peeing all the time. And I'll never forget because it was just so blatantly obvious. But obviously you don't know what it is whenever symptoms occur. Everyone's like Googling stuff when they have health issues. This was before really, Google was around, but it was before you had so much access to info online. So hold on, I gotta eat this or I'm not gonna be able to talk.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah, this is really super interesting because I know a lot of people that have like blood sugar issues when they're training and stuff. And then some people that are listening to this right now, they might be like, oh shit. So it'd be interesting to find out how you can get tested to make sure that you're, not going to one day just pass out in the gym.
Man, the hypo people that just have hypoglycemia and they don't necessarily have high blood sugar, they always ask me for help. And, I help them a little bit, as far as staying away from high sugar diets and causing certain crashes. But I'll be honest, like, I don't get it. I don't think a lot of doctors get it either. Like, why do some people only go low blood sugar during workouts? Like, they'll slam a whole bunch. It's like they overproduce insulin. And I don't know a diet that helps that other than just stay away from sugars,
It's definitely a really tricky thing because even myself being on a carnivore diet, having been on the diet for a while, my resting blood glucose in the morning fasted is like 90, 99. And that would be considered fairly high for your average person. And so it's an adaptation that happens to like a lower carb diet. But you're right. It's like, how do you make your blood glucose like super stable? And I guess you would do it almost through kind of old school bodybuilding measures where you would eat multiple times a day, keep the meals kind of moderate. And then you would also have to watch out for like sugary carbs and probably stick more to starches. I don't know. How does it work for you? Are you able to eat like rice and potatoes and those kinds of things, or what have you found?
I've found that insulin wise, all carbs are equal. That's why I will just say this. I kind of gave up and I don't believe in the glycemic scale. I just don't. Some will say that, okay, so high glycemic carbs, they're digested quicker. No, I don't. That's not true. Some will say they hit your blood sugar quicker, and that they high glycemic carbs will go through the process and turn into glycogen that the muscle can use quicker. None of that works for me. None of that has ever made any sense whatsoever. The fact that when I inject insulin, okay, and I'm going to eat a banana, roughly, you have to guess with fruit, right? Fruit can be different, and that's what's kind of crazy about fruit. One banana could be 40, and then another banana could be 25. It's based on weight, I guess, but also the age of the banana. It's crazy. Like, you know that, like,
green banana has no carbs hardly.
Yeah. So it's like, that's why when I competed in all the years at Olympia, I stayed away from fruit. Fruit was like a delicacy to me because it was not stable for me. So but what I was saying is I'll dose the same unit of insulin for Skittles as I will the same carbs of potato. So 1 cup of rice, I just had that for dinner. What is it? 52, 54 grams of carbs, somewhere in there. Okay. White rice versus 54 grams of sugar and Starburst candy. All right. I dose the same amount of insulin. So I'm not saying that the after effects or the side effects of constantly eating the dyes and everything else that goes in the candy won't change something. But I'm saying carb wise, everyone's like, what carbs are good? What carbs are bad? It really is on a person to person basis. Like, some people like different carbs than others, and some people will upset their stomach, but I don't always believe it's a carb. I think it's the outside factors. So, I got into really flipping around carbs. Like, if you can imagine yourself only allowed to have so many carbs to remain healthy and live long. All right. It used to be 150 grams for me. It's more now, but we'll talk about that if you guys want later. But like 150 grams of carbs is all you're allowed in a day.
Yeah.
What's Mark going to eat? Well, I know you're low carb, but like back in the day, what would have been your carbs that you would eat?
Yeah, 150. You run out pretty quick, man.
Yeah, so I'm saying you're
3
like
cups of rice. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 cups of rice, 3 cups of rice, 3 cups of rice. So then one day you're like, dude, I'm so tired of freaking rice. I'm going to add in a little sweet potato. And so then you kind of start manipulating that 150. Well, I got through, I wasn't Phil Heath and I wasn't, Jay Cutler and all that, but I did pretty well. I got to Olympia. It was the first type 1 to ever get to Olympia. And my goal was just to even live with the stinking disease. But I got there by always kind of being flexible with carbs. It would be 50 grams one day, most days, and then on my high carb day, it'd be 150. So I was always switching around carbs just to see like what would work, what sat well in my stomach, what carb powders, allowed me to have the best workout. And I was always just trying out different carbs. It was like, because, I didn't get a lot. I felt like, it was like I was a poor kid, but with carbs,
Do you feel like you maybe potentially gave yourself diabetes? Like, what's the terminology for it? Or is it just something that was living in you and it was triggered by something?
And this is only my thought process, but mine was that I think it's something that's causing grown men and grown women to have delayed onset diabetes, and they call it type 1.5, or they'll call it type 2. I think it's from stuff that's in medication, vaccines, plastics. I was perfectly fine. I was a trainer. I was completely natural. I was healthy. I had taken store supplements, but nothing like, no pro hormones, nothing like that. I mean, I was natural. And so I asked the doctors, like, why would my pancreas just stop working? And they're like, well, it's genetic. I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. Yeah, so no one in my family's ever had type 1 diabetes. My grandmother's had type 2, and they both beat it at different parts of life. They got off the medication. They went low carb, went Atkins back in the day. But I don't know what happened, man. But I get thousands and thousands of people that message me all the time. And, there's a lot of people that are like me. They're like 23, 25. I've had like people in their 40s, their pancreas just up and stop working. Like, they no type 2 symptoms. They're not overweight. They're fit. all of a sudden, boom, the beta cells in the pancreas just stop functioning and tell so the pancreas isn't dead or anything. It's just the beta cells in the pancreas tell it not to produce insulin.
Was the Olympia stage the goal before you got diabetes as well, or did something click once you did realize that you had that?
I never had any goal to be. I liked bodybuilders. I respect them, man. I watched all the videos. I knew I could never get that big. I remember it was an eye opener because I was like 23 and I've been smashing the weights, and I was not getting over 175, 185. I was eating everything in sight, the whole super carb load. I don't know if you guys remember supplements back then. There's so many false claims, which is funny because people talk about false claims now. All the youngsters, no, you should have been taking supplements in like 96 and 2003.
Yeah, you'd be fucked up just like us.
Yeah. The false claims, they got a better hold on it. They're still kind of crazy, but we'll get into that. Yeah. So I would take any supplement that said guaranteed 500% muscle growth. I would take all that stuff, and I was the kid spending like $300 a month at least. And I was a trainer. So, but I never could get big. So when this hit and I was like, okay, new obstacle, I was already a very strong dude anyway, but I was like, I got to figure out how to live with this. So it was go left with CrossFit, and I want to go pro in CrossFit, or go right. And cause I had to compete at something. Looking back, I probably should have hit up powerlifting because I've always been really strong for my size, but, the CrossFit, it's funny. I went to a gym. I was really good at CrossFit. I didn't like it necessarily, but I had endurance. Like that's what my body was naturally made for, was just long duration, grueling pain. And the dude turned me down. He was like, man, we don't know how. And I had beat these guys at some local Navy SEAL competitions. And they said, to be honest, man, we don't know if we can accelerate you and we can enhance you to the pro level as a type 1 diabetic. It's a risk, man. We don't want you to die in our gym. That's what he said. I was like, all right, well, I'll show you. I'm going to go pro in bodybuilding now. So physique division came out. I was already a fitness model anyway, kind of like not hardcore, but I had won some competitions. And so I was that look they wanted in physique, and it just fit.
How did your diet switch up when you found out you had it? Because I'd assume, like you said, you were like eating a crazy amount of carbs at the time. Like, did you lower it a bit? Like, how did you experiment to get to where you are now? And also, is where you are and what you're doing right now something you'd suggest to other individuals who have type 1?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main focus was, I don't see a single face of this disease, man. I looked everywhere. I wanted inspiration so bad. I wanted somebody that I could latch. Man, I used to just latch on to The Rock. I liked Cal Ripken. I liked Brett Favre. I liked Jay Cutler. I liked Dexter Jackson. I liked Magnus, some of the strongmen. So I was like, okay, but who's got what I got? Nobody. I couldn't find anyone that was like open and educating about it. So I found a woman who inspired me, and she was introduced to me. Her name's Colette Nelson. Colette was the first person, she's a female, to ever go to the Olympia as a type 1. So I was like, all right, I got to find this chick. So come to find out, we just became great friends, just clicked, a source of knowledge like no other in the type 1 diabetes world as an athlete. Not the endocrinologists and all these doctors that tell you live this way. They misdiagnosed me, first of all, and then they gave me all the wrong medication, and I was so sick. But I got my pro card by myself. I was like over 300 blood sugar, Mark. You said you were 99. I was over 300 on stage when I won my pro card. I was so like flat, but my shape that I had built from all the years of the gym but that was the person that I turned to, and she's the one that manipulated my medication to be like, hey, don't do what the doctors say, go this route. It involves different types of insulin. It's not as simple. When all of us go see the doctor, they give us the simple route. You know, I don't know Mark too well, but I'm pretty sure he's the type that he's going to pound his doctors for like the you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The reason why things are happening, rather than just like, hey, give me a pill, I'll see you later, you know? So I understood that I was going to have to be off pattern, as my endo calls me. It says I'm off pattern. My doctor now says I'm off pattern. But the funny thing is, they give me everything I want. And they actually consult me because my doctor has 2 type 1 sons. So we'll exchange information. So I think your original question was, how did it change? And my bad if I'm going off topic, dude. But
okay.
Diet-wise, I went from just relaxed. You could snack. You see something on the counter or at a party, you pick it up and eat it. Snacking was gone. So people don't understand that. There's no more snacking unless you want to like inject insulin every time you snack, or you want your blood sugar raise up. I mean, you could have a simple 5-10 gram carb treat, and that's going to spike your blood sugar way up. Sure, you can do that. But if you want to be an elite athlete, you can't do that. So every meal was partitioned. Multiple meals. I went from like 4 meals a day, maybe 5. Yeah, I would do like 400 or 500 grams of carbs in a day, but I gave up on that carb load stuff in my early 20s because I knew I wasn't going to gain mass just off carbs. It wasn't working, naturally for me. So I changed up. I went keto, and I went full on. And I would test at first. I think the first year I didn't even test to see if I was in ketosis. My doctor, my endos might have like told me, yeah, you're in ketosis, but I wasn't like, it was just more like the focus was less carbs, less insulin, more better for me. So it was a ton of fats. At first I didn't realize how many fats I could eat. I would just keep upping them. And so like I made my first Olympia in the physique division. I placed top 5. And I'm the only dude there who's doing like 0 to 50 carbs every day. Mm-hmm. Cheat days were 150. That's what I was talking about earlier. So I'd have a cheat day. That's when I would do a hamburger, fries, try to wiggle in any more carbs I could. But 150 was a max. Most days were 0 to 50. Tons of fats, 30 to 40 grams of fat every meal, all natural sources. No, like if it fits your macro fats. I would do very little saturated fats from beef. Looking back, I probably should have. But it was a lot of fish, salmon, avocado, coconut oil, almond butter, almonds, flax oil. It was always all different types of fats and, quality protein.
Did that diet last for you, by the way? Like, you're not still keto right now, right?
No. So I'm different, like, people that are watching this, I mean, I don't know, most people don't have a health issue that just takes over life, but as technology changes, if you pay attention to it, so can you. Insulin has gotten better. All right. Medication has gotten better. That Dexcom system that I was talking about, you can literally put this chip on your leg. It's a Bluetooth technology, and it reads to your Apple Watch, and it beeps at you, says, oh, you're going low. Well, you can get 5, 10, 15 grams of sugar real quick, and you avoid a bad crash. The middle of the night, that chip can tell you if you're going to die or not. 1 in 20 diabetics die in their sleep from hypoglycemia. Ooh. Yeah, it's a crazy number. So and then when you hear that stat too, you get a little anxiety, So, but anyways, technology has improved. That can help people avoid dying. It can alert all your friends, and you can put into the app. It can alert them when you're low if you want. I don't ever need that. I've never had a medical episode. I have gotten lost at FIBO in Germany and not knowing where I was. That was kind of scary. But the point is, technology has allowed me to eat more carbs, better medication, better monitoring of the blood sugar. And it's pretty freaking awesome because, as much as technology can not always be good, and all, social media as well, we're able to communicate with other type 1s. When I was diagnosed, they're like, how did you communicate? It was like, hey, I heard my brother and this and that, and he's type 1 and he played football. Maybe he can help you, So now it's different, man. You've got the type 1 community is growing a lot.
Do you think with all the technology that we have today that it's going to be very common for people to see viruses coming and people to see all kinds of different shit coming? Because I'm wearing an Oura ring right now, and I have an Apple Watch on. I mean, and these things, the Oura ring has a specific thing you could sign up for, and you can give them data and give them feedback, where they're hoping to learn. And I know a lot of the other companies are doing the same thing, like Whoop and some of the other ones. And so hopefully they gather data that matches symptoms of, these viruses. And then next time someone's body temperature spikes up or some of these things happen, maybe they can have an inkling of that they're getting ill, and maybe they can get tested faster, and maybe it could help prevent a lot of diseases.
Yeah, that's another aspect of technology helping, with sicknesses, and it is great, and technology is going to continue to improve. On the other side, like, okay, still, what are our techie nerd friends that we appreciate so much? What are they doing for preventative medication? Who's preventing all this crap? I love it, and I'm with you, man. Like, I appreciate how technology is helping me be a healthier diabetic. I mean, my A1C is lower than ever, but also, like, will someone please find out what the hell is causing all this? So it's I look at things two-sided. Like, yeah, I appreciate the technology, but also, is technology making us dependent on it, to the point where people can't even live without technology?
No. Makes you kind of think about conspiracy theories in a way. Like, maybe one thing started because of another,
Yeah. Is that one of those podcasts? Is this one of those podcasts though?
Could be.
I'm actually curious about this though, because you mentioned when you were doing keto when you first started, I guess, like having to
3 years.
3 years. Did you have to track your blood sugar much? Like, were you off of insulin at that point, or did you still have to take insulin somehow?
Dude, that was what was so cool. First of all, I ran with it. If there's anyone, I can't relate to all diseases, but if there's anyone out there that's dealing with type 1, man, look at it like a research project and just have fun with it. That's what I did. I got to a point where I didn't need hardly any insulin. And they say it will get worse. So everyone's like, oh, yeah. So I would go keto, right? On a low day where I would have 0 carbs, which all your trolls on Instagram are like, you're not 0. You can't be 0. I'm like, listen, you son of a, you know what? I just say, let me tell you about what carbs are, you piece of shit. All right. Let me tell you. Okay. You think that there's carbs in asparagus because it says on a freaking nutrition fact, there's carbs in asparagus. I have to take a medication that helps insulin go through the door, and helps you absorb carbs. So let me tell you, a long time ago, somebody created these nutrition facts, right? And if asparagus isn't spiking my blood sugar, if I ate 2 cups of asparagus and it says it's supposed to have 20 grams of carbs, whatever, how the hell, why doesn't it spike my blood sugar? It's non-glucose responsive, So like I would, I know I went off on a tangent there, but the point is you can go 0 carb, especially Mark, you definitely have done that. Eating meat only, that's definitely 0 carb. So anyways, I would have vegetables and I would have a very, very extremely low carb day. And by the nighttime, when I was extremely insulin sensitive, I would be eating food with no insulin. And because protein has a glucose response. I didn't understand that early. Fat has a glucose response. I didn't understand that. And most people just, that are generally, in fitness, they're like, okay, I understand, carbs have a glucose response. But I would go and I would have a chicken with asparagus and a whole handful of almonds or cashews and not need any insulin. And as the leaner I got, the less weight I got, the lower my body fat got, I would sometimes in one day I would use like 1 or 2 units of insulin. Versus now when I'm eating carbs, 50 units of insulin, So I know I've seen both perspectives of, diet, and it's all just so interesting to me.
Have you ever gotten fatter from eating protein and fats? Have you ever kind of overdone the consumption of food, or have you found that to really not be possible? What have you seen?
My genetics, and one thing, certain things I believe in genetics. I think people do have certain genetics with their metabolism. Some people are born into I was born in extremely fast genetics. My boys are just like me. My wife is not like me, Hey. But what I'm saying is I've never, gotten fat. I've never been able to gain a lot of fat. I have to eat so much. I think one time in my life, I had like a girlfriend, and all we did was drink Cokes and eat like complete crap all day. Like, I don't know if y'all had a high school girlfriend, you're like that, but, yeah, I think I almost lost my 6-pack, but on a what I did notice from a low carb diet and eating a ton of fats was that some of those fats did give me a distended gut. And I love it because, I was in my prime. I was out there. I was on the magazines and all that and stuff. So people would see my social media, and how the critical trolls would be like, oh, GH belly, growth hormone, like, okay. No, guys, I tried growth hormone. I can't take it. I'm so honest with you guys. I was like, no, that's not a GH belly. That is called, I don't know what's going on.
What did growth hormone do to you?
I want to take growth hormone. I don't, my doctor prescribed. I loved it. I actually he was like, I tested you and you have low IGF numbers and low growth hormone numbers. I'm like, what the hell? So give me some growth hormone, I literally was low. I'm like, how the hell do I have low? He's like, well, some diabetics develop this. So I go take it, try it different times of the day. It makes every type 1 insulin resistant. So even the smallest amount, I was able to take it and withstand it on a keto diet. But even when I was keto or super low carb, it would still spike my blood sugar up all morning, like 7 a.m. till 1 p.m., just over 200, 180. And you're losing weight at that point. You're not absorbing nutrients at that point. You're causing cellular damage at that point. So it was like not for me. And I was kind of pissed. But like one thing I can't, people can't say is like, oh, he has a growth hormone belly. I'm like, no, man, that's just called, I think I would just push out a lot. And but I did think that the fats did it, because when you're eating 30, 40 grams of fat, and it was a lot of nut fats. So if I could rewind, I probably would have done different sources of fat. But you learn, you learn as you go.
Did you say fat nuts?
Nut
Are we
fat.
talking?
For children.
Are we talking shaved?
It might
This is a plug for Manscaped. One of your
Yeah.
sponsors.
Yeah.
And now a break for our sponsors.
So it might not even be worth it for you, but like, did you look into like, it's basically like a GH compound, but the MK677,
I got it in my fridge.
Yeah.
Got it in my fridge. I was all excited. I'm like, okay, now my doc says, there's a new peptide thing. Same thing. I am going to beta test it. I am going to try it again, because I didn't try it on a low carb diet. But as soon as I feel like going low carb, it's in the fridge along with an IGF-1 peptide. And they both cause me insulin resistance. The only thing that hasn't is Smorlin. Smorlin does not cause insulin resistance. Very, very little, just a tiny bit.
So you're saying that's the injectable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried the oral version?
Smorlin?
No, the oral version of that GH secretagogue. It's
MK477. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the oral version.
Oh, okay.
And then they give me an injectable version of the IGF.
Okay. Well, I don't want to.
And then I even split them.
Yeah, I don't want to give your hopes up, but I think when I took it, I did become insulin sensitive as well.
Sensitive. So I'm like, you're
resistant. Sorry. Yeah. My insulin got all jacked up. It was not good.
Yeah, that's especially if you're not even diabetic. Yeah.
So you pretty much dig carbs, right? Because now you just take the insulin and eat the carbohydrates. Is there any other reasons for the shift in nutrition, or is it just to kind of like live your life and you find it easier to have a little bit of carbohydrates?
It was different reasons, but really it was like, all right, I've done low carb and keto for so many years. And I started traveling a lot at the time. That's why I kind of took a break from competing. I started working and had some good opportunities all over the world. And I had already traveled so much, and I wasn't able to like try all the carbs in China and Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. And I was like, man, I'm going to eat now. And also I had the new medication. I had a new pill that I had started. This pill helps excrete glucose through the liver, through the process of urination. So your glucose holds a ton of your liver holds a ton of glucose. When you're diabetic, it holds like 2 or 3 times as much. It's some type of fight or flight response. So this drug Invokana allowed me to eat more carbs. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it. You know, if you can imagine, like literally feeling like you can't eat carbs ever, even when you want, or being so careful. And then all of a sudden you have this drug, you're like, let's go. Like, and I did, I got bigger, not a lot. Then it halted. The carbs didn't accelerate gains like as much. And I wasn't upping any doses of anything. It was just simply the carbs. In fact, I was probably doing less stuff because I wasn't competing. So, you know, the carbs were just more like a fun thing. And also I was going to transition to classic. So I needed to gain about 20 pounds, not 20 pounds of muscle. I just looked at 20 pounds, period. I don't let my body fat go too crazy. So I wanted to get to about 235. So I got to 233, 234. That was the heaviest I ever got. I'm 5'10". And then from there, just the carbs, I wasn't gaining any more weight, you know, and some things kicked in. So now I'm like open to dropping carbs again, because honestly, I feel better. Like when you look at both diets and when you're a person who's like, what's the best diet for me? And you really evaluate things accurately. It's like it really is a research project to you. You can figure out like what works for you. And I promote that to people. I'm like, don't just go off this, don't jump around from all these different diets if you're not really doing them properly. But if I could say like what I prefer, what I focus best on, the best mood, you know, the best consistency, energy, it is a lower carb diet for sure.
You know, I was curious about this too, as you were mentioning all of that. And obviously I have massive ignorance since I'm not diabetic. I don't know what that lifestyle is, but you were mentioning how like when you were eating more carbs, you have to utilize more insulin. I don't know how that is like on a daily basis, if it's multiple times that you have to use it or if it's one large time, but like, let's say you're done with when you get done competing per se, right? Does it affect your quality of life having to use so much insulin? And would you go lower carb to no carb? Does that make life easier in any way? Or is life easier and more enjoyable, like kind of like Mark said, utilizing more carbs and using more insulin?
It absolutely, without getting too like detailed here, first of all, type 1 diabetics do have to take insulin every single meal.
Okay.
So if you eat 6 meals a day, you're taking 6 meals every time before you eat, especially if it's carbs. Then you also pin, you know, inject yourself for corrections. And this is where you start falling off. Like diabetics don't do this. Correction means if you go over 140, you need to make a correction and put a unit in and bring it back down to 120. You go up to 200, you need to take whatever your scale is. All diabetics have a different scale. I would take 4 units and it would probably bring me back down from 200 to 120, 140, somewhere in there. All right. So there's many variables, but the point is you're constantly like injecting. So you're just not like a roller coaster. You want to be a fine line. So I tell my people, you know, my clients and the people I talk to, you don't want a life like this, right? Even if it's not diabetes, like people's lives suck when their roller coaster highs up, and find a consistent, you know, lifestyle. And so for diabetics, low carb is very consistent. It's not necessarily that insulin will have side effects. I know you asked that, like, will the insulin have side effects? Yeah, a little bit of water bloating. The side effect of becoming resistant to the insulin. That's why there's type 2. I mean, they become resistant to their own insulin. But really, if you're not kind of like a freak about trying different stuff like me, just go low carb. You know, I've been able to do it, but I had to spend, you know, I have to, the Dexcom system. It's not cheap. You know, I have to have amazing insurance to pay for that Dexcom alert system. A lot of, you know, you have to have badass insurance for that. The medication, You know, I had to talk my doctors and have a whole, like, literally negotiations to start getting them to give me Invokana. And when I pass that on to my clients, they can't always talk their doctors into it, even though it's better for them. So the point is, like, I wouldn't have to go to all this extra effort if I was a slow carb.
Do you have to be conscious of just overeating in general? Because you mentioned each thing spiking insulin. So I'd imagine if you were just to, like, really have at it, just have a huge meal, even if it was a steak, a baked potato, and even like a small dessert afterwards, I'd imagine that you got to pay attention to even that meal, right?
Yeah, because it's just nature to me. Like, it's so, it doesn't add extra stress. Sometimes it will. Sometimes I'll have like a moment where to scream, or you want to break a wall. If you have a good wife for that reason, I'll use, my wife is, you know, she's got my back, and I'll just say, hey, I'm having like a feel sorry for me moment. You know, I think, you know, a lot of diabetics have that, but like, you just you're doing it every day. People talk about counting macros, and I have to do that every single meal. So when you got a plate of food, you know, people just start eating it. If you're a fitness enthusiast, maybe you're counting macros now. You're like, okay, but you don't have to be accurate in order to maintain your lifestyle and maintain health. So counting macros is just like, food is math to me. I look at, and I have to. I mean, you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it every meal, year after year. So, you know, when it comes to like trying new things and all that, or I'm sorry, I kind of forgot what you asked, but like when it comes to eating a big meal, it doesn't really like affect me, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't gorge out, but maybe that's just because I'm just accustomed to not gorging out. Because I did. Now that you're asking me that, yeah, I definitely did like gorge out on food before I had become probably, you know, a better diabetic. Competing will make, it's like, man, I'll be so good and so consistent, and and then you're dieting, you're 3, 4, 5% body fat, whatever you are. And then after the show, man, for a week, you just go hard on the food. You're like, cheat meals every day. That was the last time. But I haven't had any issues since 2016 with like extreme insulin resistance, and since I, you know, stopped trying to take growth hormone.
What makes people fat? Because you'll hear sometimes somebody will say, oh, you know, you don't want your insulin to spike because that's going to make you fat. So in your opinion, why are so many people fat?
Well, I mean, I can only relate to my issues, and also, but I mean, I've trained thousands of people. I've trained many overweight people, and I will get into, you know, insulin resistance a little bit, but really, I think it's just overall calories. In my opinion, just overall calories. Like, if they were, we don't have to get so scientific and talk about insulin resistance with an overweight person. We have to talk about, okay, what causes insulin resistance? All right, it was your emotional eating at 11 o'clock and midnight. You're pounding a whole stack of Oreos or whatever your vice is. That was it.
Like, yeah, that sounds good.
You know, it does. But you know what? It's like, so my thing is, all right, let's teach them like moderation. Let's put on a whole bunch of muscle, you know, the Mark Bell way. And then guess what? You can eat a whole damn stack of Oreos, you know, post workout. But you have to get to that level, you know.
How about now? Like, obviously, with competitions being stopped, like I don't know how it is for all the competitions you had coming up, but what have you had to adjust?
You mean because of, like, the coronavirus? Shoot, man. We live a pretty like solitary lifestyle. I mean, I was at Columbus. It's not like that we don't get out and do stuff, but also, I mean, I have 2 twin boys. They're 15 months old. So we don't go out and do a ton of stuff with them anyway. We'll take them to Costco, you know, a little bit. Now we don't take them to Costco. We might go meet some friends for dinner or food or lunch. Now we don't do that. But our activity already slowed down. And, you know, just what's changed is just really my focus, man. I feel like I am more focused and more appreciative and more grateful because of all this. It's opened my eyes a lot. I said something the other day, like, it's funny. Before the coronavirus, I mean, you really weren't aware of like who all is aligned with the same, integrity and morals and beliefs as you. And this has kind of opened up your eyes to it. And so I've just seen the way that a lot of people handle stuff, this pandemic. And, not to be too crazy or too deep here, but it's just like, I want to surround myself with, people who want to help the world and not just complain and criticize and whine about it. I want to surround myself with people who lift up other people. And even our current, I was just, I don't even watch much the news, but I was watching one channel. All they do on the media is just criticize the government and criticize the president and all this. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, dude, not to get involved in too much, but it's just like, I think people just have a negative mindset. The media will push them there. And so I stay away from that, because the minute I turn it on and I start seeing a lot of negative attention, I feel like it just brings down my vibe and what I'm focused on right now. And so I've got 2 business plans I've written. We've been spending more time together. We've got a whole bunch of new recipes. I just finalized an app that I'll launch once this is all done. Design meetings with a clothing designer on some premium, fitness clothes that I've been trying to do for like 5 years. So I'm staying proactive through all this, so it's almost like, I don't want to say I appreciate it, but like, if you have downtime, embrace it, do the best you can during that downtime.
Yeah, this is certainly slowing the world down. And maybe, at this time with everything moving in slow motion, people can see things a little bit better. I know just something so simple. I just appreciate my wife more. I mean, I already know how much she does, but just kind of watching everything kind of come to a screeching halt and then seeing how much she takes care of with the kids and stuff. It's just like, holy shit. Like, I'm super grateful for her. And, she's my business partner as well. And then I kind of just recognize like how much she shoulders a lot of the business and stuff, even though, I'm the one who gets, I'm the one who gets the credit for it, but I also take the bullets too. But it's just, opened my eyes a lot. And I've known that, and we spend a lot of time together and we get along really well. And, I spend a lot of time with my kids and stuff too, but man, it's actually been fun. It's actually been great sitting there watching TV with them and just kind of, just being more involved in their lives and stuff. It's been kind of a blessing, really.
Yeah. Same here. Same thing. Sometimes things need to slow down, and I am a spiritual person too. So I always believe things have a greater meaning. Maybe that's just me being naive, but I always try to look at the positive and absolutely everything. So,
when I made a post the other day, I talked about the coronavirus, and I kind of just threw it out there to see what people would say. I'm trying to get, I'd like to hear from people and just see where they're at. Try not to give too much influence on what I think sometimes, and just flat out say, hey, what are some of your thoughts on this? And I said something to the effect of like, do you feel that the quarantine is effective, or do you feel it's ineffective, or do you feel it's making things worse? Where do you stand on this?
Oh yeah. Cause I don't even remember what I put.
Yeah, I don't know if you were messing around or whatever, but you just said you just kind of think you just said worse, but you didn't really say, and then it inflamed a ton of people. So I didn't know if you dropped that, and if you just wanted to do like a drive by, you're like that, and then you drove off, or
no. Well, I thought you had asked, is it better or worse?
Oh, gotcha.
From if we hadn't been quarantined. So like say had they not ever quarantined, I said it would have been, I was thinking it would have been worse.
Right.
No, I'm all for like the stay at home. Yeah, maybe I didn't read it right. I don't know. But no, I support, I think, like we said, talking about diets and health, we got to look at the root cause. Where did this come from? And people are naive and they're like, oh, it didn't come from China. Okay, bullshit. This came from China. I don't even believe this came from bat soup. I think this came from a lab it was leaked somehow. hopefully not on purpose, but it could have been on purpose. It could have been an accident. But where did this come from? It came from a research facility in China. All right. So I believe that had it been contained in China better, and had they been more public about it earlier, that this wouldn't have got to all the other countries.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, think about like when you're a little kid, you like fuck with like matches or something, and you light a cardboard box on fire, and you're like, "Fuck, man, I lit that whole box on fire. I didn't mean to do that." And you splash it with water or something. You that's the end of it, right?
And then
some crazy bastard probably started.
And then also
maybe they were testing type 1 diabetes. You know?
Yeah, and then just like a kid, you try to hide it and you don't want to tell anybody about it. You're like, nope, I don't know what you guys are talking about. What box? I didn't light a box on fire.
Throw it behind your back.
Yeah.
I started fires as a kid. It was bad. I was like, not on purpose. I didn't mean to burn down a whole bunch of woods, but yeah, I ran and told everybody though. I don't think China run and told everybody.
Right. I know. I still don't think they're giving us all the details on it, but I agree with you. I think it doesn't really do us any good to. I think it does us good to speculate on what we think is the right thing to do, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense to completely disregard, kind of like what's being said. I think just like even watching the presidential candidates and stuff get up there and talk, and it's like, man, could there ever be a time where anybody collaborates? I mean, I know that you're not going to really see that, especially because who the current president is, but I just think like you would get everyone to listen to you if you were like, if it was Biden or someone like that, and he was like, hey man, like this is a really tough spot to be in. I would like to see things done a little bit more like this, but I support what's going on. Imagine if he said that. Imagine how many people would be like, this dude's cool. Like, who's this guy? Like this guy's got an open mind. I think they would flip their brain around on who they're thinking about selecting. Otherwise, I think that Trump's going to win easily again, because I think people will be too scared for any sort of change.
No, exactly, and that's what I was talking about. That the media is just tearing down politicians in a time when they're trying their best. And they're tearing down the president. The Democrats are tearing down the Republicans. Maybe doing the same thing. I don't see it as much, but personally, it's just like, at what point do you be like, hey, we can be enemies later. We can disagree later. Right now, we need to stand up and get this stimulus package done. Let's get these checks out to people if that truly helps. Some people say, oh, $1,200 isn't going to help anyone. No, when I was 25 years old and I was living paycheck to paycheck, $1,200 would have helped me out a lot.
A shit ton of money, especially if you don't have anything coming in, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could live off $1,200 for 2 months back then, like easy. I would have moved out of my apartment. I would have been fine. Delayed a car payment, moved in with my parents, and lived off $1,200 for even longer than that if I had to. Plus went out and made some extra money. So like it could help. And, but I do think that people need to be quarantined right now. I believe that if people would have listened to quarantine from the beginning, starting from where it all started in China, even to now, we wouldn't have a lot less issues. Look at it's blatantly obvious. Like this is a statistic. The most populated cities where the people are most social have the most concentrated amounts of the disease. All right. Because they're out and about and they're doing stuff. All right. So rural communities where I live in my city, we have one person, in Prosper, Texas. We're north of Dallas, downtown Dallas. Oh, they're saying it's about to blow up. There's pictures of people on where I used to live. We moved up here when we had kids. Katy Trail. This trail is just tons of people. And the mayor's on the news like, I'm ashamed of you people, this and that. Like, yeah, that's what people do in concentrated. They refuse to just separate from each other. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else you need to know. Like, yeah, you absolutely should have quarantined and you should have listened better. And then we wouldn't have this problem. And, it's ridiculous because we're all going to hurt financially for this. And, it's at one point, though, do you start asking, okay, do we let businesses open back up since, the stronger immune people aren't necessarily dying from this, you know, and the only people that
come down to like testing, you know, if they can get people tested, then maybe they can make better assessments on who can do what. But, you know, I don't know how they'll regulate, you know, all that stuff. I think today they said another 30 days. I think that's what I heard, but I don't know. Did you guys hear the same thing?
No, I didn't see anything.
April 30th. Another April 30th is what the president said. And, yep.
He was talking more like the beginning of April. Now he's just talking a little bit more the end of April, I think, right? He's had to kind of push that back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think we're getting to the peak, which, you know, sounds horrifying, but I think that we're getting close to that ramping up to where it needs to ramp up to, and then it will start coming back down again. At least that's the theory, because you keep people separated for a long enough time, and then enough people will get it where enough people will be immune to it. And like China, you know, they're back to work, and I don't think they have anything negative going on, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I had some Chinese people comment on my stuff, and it's in Chinese. I do have a few friends there, so I mean, I can reach out and ask. I mean, it's like, yeah, how do you really know the truth? But yeah, it's just, man, I feel for the medical workers right now. They're working overtime, stressed out. Even my doctor's a very successful dude, man. He's got multiple practices. He posted something on his personal Facebook, like, and I shared it on my page. Like, man, there's real life, like, veteran doctors in their 60s that are like, this scares me.
Isn't this really, this is really a wild thing, because it's impacting the world, you know, like a lot of times you hear about like an earthquake, or you hear about a volcano, and it's just like impacting like this area, and you're like, man, that's horrific. And you see it, and it's like on the news for a couple of days, but because it's not an American problem, it disappears. 9/11 was a thing for a long time, but if like you weren't in New York, you weren't impacted the same way. All Americans were impacted. Obviously that, you know, scared the shit out of everybody of what was going to happen next and stuff like that. But, you know, those people in that condensed area, same thing with like the Boston bombing, and even just like, it seems like the news has always like got their face in something, right? They're like nose down in some sort of material. For a while it was, you know, all these older men getting in trouble for sexual harassment, and that was the thing. And that impacts a large subset of people, and it hurts a lot of people, but this is damaging the entire world. So this is just a different thing. And I don't recall ever experiencing anything like this since I've been around.
No, never. I don't know. I don't think we've ever faced anything even close to this, except for maybe, you know, the plague. And we didn't have as much information. There were still so many people that were unaware of what's going on. Now everyone that's on their face, you know, when they look at their phone, or turn on the TV, you know, everyone's been affected. And yeah, it's funny because you seen those memes where they're like, now wives are now looking at their husbands like, can he shoot? Can he cook? Can he protect her? Can he hunt? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would be all right, but I don't know if you guys thought about that. I'm like, man, would I survive? I mean, I got a gun. I've killed a deer before. I'm not a hunter, but I would probably have to go move in with my wife's parents. We'd have to, because they're big hunters and they got a ton of guns. So
yeah, that was my first thought too, was like, okay, who do I know that actually does have like the ammo and everything? And I got some uncles that know how to hunt and everything, so I think we'll be all right. But you know, yeah, it's just about like accepting that and being like, hey, I'll clean your weapons if you get me some food.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What businesses do you got? You mentioned you have a couple different businesses.
Man, so we've been before all this, I had parted ways with my partners in my CBD business, and you know, it was taking longer than expected, but it's really because I needed new partnership. And so before all this, I mean, I'm not going to launch CBD during this pandemic, but I'll bring back one CBD. One stands for Wrath of Nature. And so the CBD business, I just was pretty vocal about it. I'm just so tired of a lot of the clothing companies. I mean, there's some good ones out there, but I had a bad end of business with this Australian clothing company recently. So I had been meaning to get with this designer anyway. We've talked. He's I guess I won't say his big line. He's got a big, like, actual high-end designer menswear out of New York. And so we've been talking a long time about doing like legit high-end fabric workout wear.
We need shit to make us look jacked, really jacked.
Yeah. Animal pack feel, but with a little bit less size than Frank McGrath. If you guys know, if y'all follow those ads, I love those ads. Yeah. So like just a dingy, but yet thick and then we'll go into performance fabrics later, but we'll start off with just the culture of the company, which is just your hardcore steel, lifting clothes that are durable, that do not get messed up. And so I've always loved clothes. I've loved like men's style. And so that would make me happy. If we make money with it or not, I mean, of course hopefully we do, but I just love coming up with concepts that like, I feel like my followers and then customers will like to wear at the gym. And so then the app's cool too. So these are all passion projects, and yeah, I mean, I got to pay the bills and support my family, but I'm super excited about this app because, a lot of people are doing apps, but I've never been able to do one that integrates with the type 1 diabetics because it has to be pretty sophisticated. It has to be pretty detailed. So, launching the app later this summer once everyone stops getting sick and stuff.
About the CBD stuff, is that something you're going to get back into?
Yeah, I like this. CBD was great for me. I was like all these companies were sending me stuff in like 2018. There's, it's kind of the way of the influencer, man. People will ask you for your address and they'll send you out tons of free stuff. So it's cool. But I started taking the CBD and I noticed my blood sugar was stabilizing. And this was right. I just told you guys right when I was like, stopped competing. I had done a year of high carb trying to figure out how to stabilize my blood sugar on a high carb diet. And it was like getting better. It was like worse. It was getting better and better and better and better. Until finally like 2018 was like, all right, I officially can do like 400, 500 grams of carbs and have a great A1C score. But then I added in the CBD and I was like, man, I'm actually feeling a little bit more insulin sensitive. So I noticed I was using like a little bit less insulin, and come to find out, I had done a little research. There was no research in 2018 on CBD. It was actually illegal in the US, but I found forums, and CBD is a great anti-inflammatory. And so all autoimmune disorders are inflammatory diseases. So it made sense why it was helping. I couldn't figure out why, but I was like, oh, well, CBD is great for inflammation. So I actually gave it to a lot of people with inflammatory diseases. And this is all before CBD got real big. But I had given it to our family member. She's a little girl with rheumatoid arthritis. The steroids make her face swell up. She had to quit dance senior year or junior year of high school. She was homeschooled. So she was really just swollen, and she took it, and she was like, her dad texted me and was like, hey, she's like coming to work out with me at the gym for the first time in a year. She's going back to dance class. So the CBD had its benefits. And that's why I was like, all right, this is something I can stand by. And, first month, I had like repeat customers with supplements, and I've only endorsed supplements. I never, I don't own my own brand. Maybe I will with supplements one day, but like I had never had people like this, they're much heart into it. The emails and the response from the CBD was like, dude, I've been on anxiety medication for 5 years now. And I'm like, my doctor's telling me it's okay to drop it. Stuff like that, like stuff that makes you emotional, you're like, wow, I'm doing something to impact the world. So yeah, I like the CBD. I like it. Of course, there's a lot of scam artists out there too, but
that's what I was going to ask, because like I've tried a couple of different things for my back. Like I've tried topical stuff. I've tried vaping it. I've tried like drops, like in my, whatever, under the tongue and everything. And I haven't really been like able to notice like a significance or even a difference at all. So is it just because I'm trying like bullshit products, or is it like a person to person basis? What's wrong with your back? I've always had back issues really, but like I've herniated disc, but this was a couple of years ago now. Basically what it comes down to is I've been sitting for like 12 years straight, like 2 jobs in a row where I sat all day long every day. So that's really what it comes down to. But training at Super Training's helped a ton. That's actually the only thing that's ever really helped. But just we have companies that send us shit all the time too, and it's like, oh, CBD, I heard that's great for anti-inflammation and stuff, and so like I would try it. Like I think maybe probably not, like I don't know, and I'm not trying to bash CBD. I'm just saying like I've never really noticed a difference, so I was just curious. Is it like
there's people like you? Yeah, there's people that. So you got to look at all the variables. Like you got to look at I would ask. It could be bad product, but also like, did you take it consistently for at least like 2 or 3 weeks? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying yes. I'm just like, I didn't know that it would like, I would assume that it built like almost like a tolerance. I wasn't sure if it would like accumulate, right?
It doesn't really accumulate, but your endocannabinoid system, okay, in your brain is what, where the receptors and, I'm not like Mr. Scientist about this. I mean, that's why I have partners that I work with. But basically, everyone has a different response with their endocannabinoid system. All right. So my example was like, some people get really high, when they smoke weed, and some people will function. They'll go to work and do a podcast. I'm not one of those people. I'm like, good night. So, but with CBD, it can have a different response, and so it's not based on weight, it's not based on sex or anything like that. It's just based on you and all the factors that are within your body. So the pain could be too high. The pain it can't handle extremely bad pain. Inflammation in a leg for a pregnant woman that's having like restless leg syndrome at night or something. My wife had it. Yeah, like it dropped her pain that day, but that's not like an intolerable back pain from herniated discs or something. Like reduce, like, and her dad sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's frustrating because he has muscular sclerosis. So yeah, it's he's able to. Not digressing or too much, but like the CBD would help sometimes and sometimes it wouldn't. This Cajun guy, he's like a tough guy. He's like, he lives on the bayou. He's got a shrimp boat in the back of his house. And he's like, Jason, this stuff ain't working. What'd you send me this time? I'm like, I don't know. It's just some new brand. All right, well, you got to send me that other stuff because this stuff ain't working at all. Like, whatever. I'm like, all right, well, I don't know. It's not one of those things where it's an organic, compound. That's why pharmaceuticals, people are addicted to them and they work. I mean, they're super strong. So, right. Yeah, the CBD is crazy, and we're going to learn more and more about it. But you got to take it consistently, sure, too, and twice a day. It's not a one time a day thing. They don't have any time release. You got to take CBD morning and night.
Got it.
How's your training going right now?
Man, I'm killing it. I'm like, could be a little bit better if I was in my normal gym, but I got a home gym. Are you posting this on any video format?
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
I know you train at home quite often, train outside and stuff, right?
Oh yeah. I like to train outside.
In that Texas heat.
Yeah, man. I like to sweat. I like, it gets, July, August. Nah, you're not going to find me train outside. That's like death wish. I don't know how Branch and Ronnie did that all those years.
Super humid.
But
You know, Jason, as you're heading to your gym, I'm curious because a lot of trainers and coaches listen to this, and like a lot of them, they have clients, and you mentioned you do have clients that you're working with. So how are you keeping those individuals like motivated and continuing on when they don't, a lot of them might not have a home gym or access to a gym? What advice do you have for individuals to keep them going?
Man, I have sent everyone to buy bands, and I tell them bands will make them dance. No. I tell the bands are the best resistance you have. I try to tell people, most of my guys are guys that want to look like me, or some of them are even bigger, some of them smaller, but they all want to get jacked. They want to have as much muscle as possible. So I tell them that we got to find some way to have the most resistance possible. So, I don't do a ton of online training. I don't do one-on-one. I only have like 15 people at a time. I used to do 50, 75. And I was chaotic. So I only trained 15 people at a time. So those people are able, working in a smaller number, I'm able to communicate with them a little better. And resistance bands, heavy resistance bands, and then dumbbells. So everyone, I didn't have one client that was like, oh, I can't find dumbbells or couldn't find resistance bands, because we caught it early on. So they've all ordered dumbbells, ordered resistance bands. And some of my clients have even bought home gyms like me. But for those there's trainers out there that probably train a lot more than me. Like they have probably hundreds of clients. If that's the case, I mean, that's why you probably want to have an app. You want to have a business format to where you're able to communicate in a mass amount quickly. So it's in organized fashion. So these people can take your advice and go. So like I know 3 years ago, if I was training as much, man, I would be stressed out right now. But, that's why, like, when I launch this app, say this happens again, okay, we're going to go straight to body weight. I'm going to film everything right here in my studio, and they can take that body weight workout and the bands workout and the dumbbell workout and run with that. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, most definitely.
Do you have any recommendations for which bands?
Yeah. Can I flip this around?
You should be able to.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, there's a button
screen
somewhere. Tap the screen, you should see it. Yeah, there you go.
So we'll start with this. You guys seen a commercial for this thing?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's the mirror, cool. Right?
Mm-hmm.
No. This is called the tonal.
Oh.
The mirror is like different. I think the tonal's better. I don't know much about the mirror, but the tonal is, look at this. Here's the resistance. You can turn the resistance up.
Shit.
100 pounds on each side. So that's 200 pounds resistance. You pick your exercise, all custom made. If you don't want to just pick one exercise and create your own program, then you can pick all these different trainers that they have previously shot. So you want to do a workout or that's already been done, you can pick all these. Man, I threw this on a live and I had so many questions about it. But here, let's take out a trainer. Who would you train with? Who would you pick, Mark?
Did you get crushed when you did the workout?
You know what? I haven't done one of these workouts yet.
I bet you get killed on them.
I think Mark would go with Nicolette for some reason. She looks hardcore.
Yeah, I always pick chicks when I go on the Peloton thing. Like I send my wife pictures all the time. I'm like, check out who I'm training with.
So the arms go out. I'm super impressed with this thing. And look how thin it is. It's right up against the wall. So people that have a tight space, I mean, I got it here in my garage gym, but look at that. Fits right up against I can still pull my car in and park it.
Wow.
So then,
that's crazy.
Flooring is like the foundation of my gym. I'm so glad I did it because this is rubber and my kids can fall on it. They can run on it. I can drop dumbbells on it. So instead of doing epoxy in my garage, I did this rub court. It's awesome. So that's where this is the Prime Fitness rack. Kind of start from the top to bottom, but you got your pull-up options here. It goes in and out. Then cable system. It's got two different cable systems. One right here. I was doing flies earlier. You can see the weight going right there. You can actually attach this cable. It is sick. You can attach this up to the barbell too. So you can add a cable resistance to the barbell. Tons of handles. And then, my sponsor's awesome. They sent me a whole bunch of rain.
Where's your mirror?
No mirror yet, man. This is it. There's the mirror. The Walmart bed? The Walmart mirror.
Is there a tanning bed in there?
Man, that's outside. Man, we're in Texas. We just go lay out and get some vitamin D right now.
That's awesome, man. How has it been, being home with the kids? You mentioned a little bit of that. Your kids are only 15 months old, but it's kind of a really cool time to probably be around them. You get to see their progression every single day. I'm sure they're moving around a little bit more every day. They kind of learn new tricks every day, and you got 2 of them. So what's that been like?
Oh man, like they say, it is the greatest joy ever. My twin boys are just, they grow up so fast. You try to appreciate every single moment. And I'm still always working from home, but of course I'm home even more than ever right now. And they're starting to do the coolest stuff, and they're just one's starting to talk to us. It makes no sense whatsoever. But it's so freaking cute. I could just sit there and have a conversation with him, and I don't understand a word he's saying, And then the other one, he doesn't say a word. He's totally silent. They're polar opposite. They don't even have the same blood. They're fraternal twins. They don't have even the same blood. One's got my blood and one's got her blood, and they look nothing alike. It's cool. They're starting to love on each other. They'll kiss each other and they're hugging, they'll fight, and you hear screaming, and all of a sudden they'll go, oh, that. That's their way of term of endearment, right? So it's a cool phase they're in right now, man. They're also teething too. So
yeah,
man, when they teeth, it's just, I can imagine that's just teeth growing out of your gums.
Yeah, they're drooling all over the place, right?
Yeah, one drooled a little bit. The other one didn't really drool that much. Yeah.
My daughter drooled right through her. We put a bib on her just because she would drool so much. Just walk around with drool hanging out of her face all day long. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I know most kids do. They haven't drooled that much, man. I guess I don't know what's going on. We got a dog for that. I got an 8-month-old pit bull. He drools. It's disgusting.
Also, it looks like you were just kind of made for this quarantine because you kind of work from home already. You have 2 15-month-olds. You're not a person that goes out and goes to work that much. So I've heard some stories of some guys that are having to stay home and they're just hating their lives right now.
That was me. I don't know about you guys, but that was me before I got married. I could never stop moving. I was a Mr. Social. I thought I always had FOMO. Would think I was going to miss every social event or miss something, and getting married was good for me. Getting married and having kids is just settle down and move to a smaller town. There's 20,000 people. This town's blowing up. It's the fastest growing city in America, but it's still not downtown. And I embrace the quarantine life, man. Embrace it.
Are you a sports guy? Do you like football and stuff like that? How you doing with all the sports being gone?
Man, I'm fine right now. But if football is canceled, I don't know how I'll act. It's going to suck. Basketball, football, UFC, man, I was excited. Stuff. Wait, UFC's canceled now too?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of UFC stuff is canceled, but I know they were doing some of it without an audience, but I think more recently, they canceled some of them, right?
Yeah, they said they were going to postpone all of the events until April, till the Khabib fight. But who knows now, that might even be postponed as well.
Damn. You know what's funny? I asked Dana White. I don't know Dana White. I'm not going to, but he answered me on his live. I was like, because I thought they were still going. I was like, hey, thanks for giving us the only sports we can watch right now. And he goes, man, He's like, we're trying. He's like, I'm trying, man. He's like, it's not looking too good, but I'm trying.
Hey, I think we still got WWE.
Do we really?
I think so. I think WrestleMania is going down still.
Yeah, it's been weird. I haven't like tuned in or anything, but I've seen clips where they're doing everything, but there's no crowd. It's completely empty. So I've been meaning to like actually watch it because I want to see what the vibe is like. Where like people are like they're fighting. It's supposed to be intense, but there's no cheering going on or anything. I'd imagine it'd be pretty freaking weird, but. Yeah, that
seems like it's going to be comedy without like having a crowd to laugh at you, especially with how much. I mean, Mark, those guys play off the crowd, so how the hell is that going to be possible?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. They're making it work.
Yeah, creative writers probably have to change everything up just to make it like not seem so silly. Well, I mean, it's going to be hard not to seem silly, but you know what I mean.
Did you do WWE, Mark?
Yeah, I did. I wrestled for about 5 years. I wanted to say too, The Rock, I saw that he's doing like a live, like cheat meal. I don't know if you guys saw him posting about that, but he's talking about eating a cheat meal live, and he's like drinking vodka and eating something else. And I was just fucking around. I posted something earlier today and said that son of a bitch, he stole my idea. Cause I was eating a Pop-Tart like 8 years ago. I'm sure other people have, filmed themselves eating, cheat meals before, but anyway, I just thought that was funny that he's filming that live and he's like having tequila, and then he said it's going to be with his favorite food. I always find those guys entertaining. I always like Stone Cold, The Rock, shit like that. But yeah, I wrestled for a few years, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I got a chance to do some stuff with WWE. Got a chance to meet a lot of the pro wrestlers and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's somewhere in the back of my brain, I remember that.
You probably saw Bigger, Stronger, Faster or something along the way, and some of that's in there.
Oh yeah. Yep, I did see that. Yep.
What got you into lifting in the first place?
I wasn't big and fast enough and strong enough. It was straight up. I mean, I graduated high school and I was always just like mediocre at everything. I couldn't start at any of the high school sports. And, I probably picked the wrong sports because there were sports I was good at. I was really good at wrestling and hockey, but the big sports in Texas are football and basketball and baseball. And I just didn't have the size.
About how much do you weigh now?
I'm 220, 5'10". I'll fluctuate 5 pounds down, really. I won't go up 5 pounds. But, so 220, 218. And, but when I graduated high school, I was 155.
Damn.
So yeah, I was just a thin guy, real thin. And I was short. I grew after high school too. So I was only like 5'9". I grew another inch after high school, but I, really, also had an eye issue. I was, legally blind in this eye. And, I really didn't know it because it was a gradual thing. It's called a keratoconus. So it messed up my depth perception. So where I was already probably not going to play any college sports anyway, my senior year was just screwed because I had no depth perception. My shot at basketball was off. When I caught routes at receiver, I couldn't even know where the ball was. It was just terrible. My coaches were like, and my parents didn't have money, man. We didn't even have health insurance and all that. So it was like I could have gotten it diagnosed, but it was when I had my own job after high school. I had health insurance. Went and saw an optometrist. He was like, yeah, you have this rare disease for a kid. Like, you need to get this, you need to have this cornea transplant. So they cut off my cornea, put on a donor's. Whoa. And I mean, it literally had like sutures in my eye. It was extremely painful. And I guess it's a regular procedure now. It was regular, but back then it was exploratory. So anyways, that's when I like got my vision back and everything. So I was like, all right, and I was already lifting weights. So it was funny. Like, my athleticism improved when I started lifting weights. But it was all just like that. It was a lack of being athletic. I was like, man, I was so competitive, but genetically I wasn't competitive, so I had to work for it. And, the weights, man, it just took me. I started getting as big as my friends. I started getting as fast as my friends. And then I found a passion. I was like, you know what? I want to train these guys. My friends that were in college and they ended up going to NFL and playing professional sports. I was like, man, I know I can help them be even better. And, you know, also my mom told me growing up too. She was like, you know, I don't know about you guys, but it's like moms are always right. You're always like, man, they're always right. I denied her like 15 to 21. She was like, I think you're going to heal people in some way. You know, she's a Christian. She's a very spiritual person too. And she was like, I named you Jason for a reason. It means the healer in the Bible. And I'm like, Mom, I was like, I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm too stupid. Like, we can't afford college. I'm not going to pay for my own way through doctor school. This is not. And then finally I was like, wait, what if my mom's always right? Maybe if I can help people through fitness. And so got certified, got another certification, jumped in the first Lifetime Fitness that opened up in, Dallas, Texas. And then that's where I started.
It looks like you're doing a pretty good job of it now.
Yeah, man, it's a whole other ballgame now. The freaking trainer in every corner now. But yeah, no, it's all about why. I mean, people ask me like how they can get to a certain level. I'm like, well, what is your why? What is the reason why you want to be in the fitness world? Because if it's to get rich, you're going to fail. You know, what sucks is actually, no, you can just want to get rich in the fitness world now and you can get rich. But those dudes suck. You know, I don't know that they're happy. I don't know that they're truly changing lives. But if you want a long-lasting career that's stable, where you get incredible feedback and you have people calling you back 10 and 20 years later saying, hey, just want to still thank you for all the help you gave me, you got to start fitness to help people. It should be about their results. It should be about their goals, even more than yourself. You know, that's why it was hard for me to be a competitor, to be an IFBB Pro, because I had to stop personal training, and it was rough for me. But, you can always go back to it. And that's what I'm doing now.
Cool, man. I don't want to take up any more of your time. You probably need to go eat another banana as well.
Was that on video or not?
That was on video.
Yeah, it was on.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
You're on the internet eating a banana.
Damn it.
Where can people find you?
I'm going to relaunch YouTube this year. I do all right with YouTube, but I'm on YouTube. It's my name, Jason Poston. Instagram is Jason Poston Pro. Facebook, I don't know how the hell to do a TikTok. Maybe Mark, you can show me. I don't do TikTok yet, but man, either that or just hit me up on Instagram.
Thanks, man. Appreciate your time, and have a good rest of your day, and take care of those kids, huh?
Yeah, I will, Mark. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot,
guys.
man. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All righty. That was cool.
Cool, man.
We got a gym tour.
Yeah, that diabetes. I knew he was diabetic, but I didn't know like the severity of it, and I didn't realize. I don't think I knew that he was type 1. I just assumed he was type 2 because he got it, later in life. So, man, diabetes is really weird, man. It's super complicated, and your blood sugar is a really weird thing. It's pretty wacky.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But like, that's why I was so curious about like keto and getting rid of carbs and how it affected him. What it seemed like is that, things were easier when he wasn't,
Right.
And obviously I'm not a diabetic, so I'm not telling people just don't eat carbs, but it's not as simple as that. I get it, but it does seem like that's a big part of it. Like he said, lowering your carb intake, going low to no carb can make a very big difference.
Well, it's dependent too on whether you have high blood sugar, low blood sugar, whether you're insulin resistant, or whether your body no longer produces insulin, which I believe is the case with him, or maybe his body only secretes a small amount of it. I know, with my own personal experience with some of the people in my life, one of our good family friends is a type 1 diabetic, and she's managed it really well with a lower carb lifestyle. But she still needs carbohydrates, just as Jason was eating a banana. She still needs to eat some foods like that here and there. And she still needs I think she's hooked up to some sort of monitor, I think that gives her insulin kind of throughout the day or something like that. I'm not sure. Didn't have an opportunity to ask him about that. But and then also my mother-in-law, who's a type 2 diabetic, she's still had success. She's come off all her medication. and she's been doing good. She does a little bit of weights at home. She's got like 8 and 12 pound weights and 6 pound weights at home, maybe 3 pound weights too. She moves those around a bunch of different ways, curls, shoulder presses, like some box squats, and she does a bunch of walks every day, and she just doesn't eat carbohydrates. And she will occasionally, have crackers and some things that, aren't on the diet. She'll eat some things that may have some carbs in them, but our agreement that we worked on was, hey, try to have, if you're going to have some carbs, try to only have meals that have maybe less than like about 20 grams per meal. And then each person's case is going to be different. So I can't say you can take that one to the bank, but that's really worked really well for her. But it's been so much more about not just not eating the carbohydrates, but about consistent movement, consistent exercise. She just didn't like to move that much. She was kind of a homebody. She did a lot of art, and she's not a person that's heavy at all. And so it was just about convincing her, hey, like this movement is going to be super important for you to fight against this disease,
Yeah. I was also really curious. I didn't really he's for the quarantine, but obviously individuals that have diabetes, they're much more susceptible to this in general. Like that's one of the things that everyone's talking about, being obese, having diabetes, being older. So it seems that he was like for the quarantine, but I didn't get to ask him like how he really feels. Like, is he fearful, Yeah,
it doesn't seem like he's very fearful, just because he kind of has had to think about death maybe more so than the next person, because he said like 1 in 20 people that have type 1 diabetes die in their sleep. So I'm sure that doesn't mean he's not afraid of anything, but I think that he's had to maybe think about it, more than maybe the next person. So he seems healthy though too. So, I mean, he does have an autoimmune disease, and that would lead you to believe that his immune system might be compromised a little bit, but then the rest of the guy is so healthy, hopefully it doesn't have a negative impact on him,
Yeah, I was just thinking how like crazy it would be what you were alluding to about like if you have like a certain amount of like detections in your body that like, you sign up for a thing that sends all your information to like a third party company, and you wake up the next morning and there's an Amazon delivery with like some vitamin D3 because you're like, hey, this corona shit's starting to go around. You need this because you're showing symptoms of X, Y, and Z. And it's pretty crazy because I don't think we're that far off from that, especially after everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, and then it would be a matter of like what would be useful, what would be helpful, and then that would, people might be strongly opinionated about that. But if it's just up to the individual to be accepting of it and say, yeah, I have noticed my sleep has been off. I can use that magnesium and that zinc, and maybe that'll help. I think that's to kind of monetize those things further. I think that's massive. And I wouldn't even doubt that something probably does that already almost.
There has to be something. I mean, nothing comes to mind for me, but there has to be something. The thing I think about those, like let's say that something like that does come out, which probably is not too far off, but what if, I guess the suggestions aren't ideal? Yeah, like right, what if they're like, you need, I'm not saying carbs are bad, but what if they're like, you need uptick your carbohydrate intake and do this, this, and this, which would sometimes maybe an opposite type of, put you in a different place. So that's the kind of scary thing about it.
I think if it's like mild stuff, like there's products out there called adaptogens, and adaptogens can assist with like lowering, say, like cortisol. So you could lower stress. Let's say the Oura Ring or something like that recognizes that you are more stressed, your heartbeat is irregular. Maybe you could say, hey, you could try this. And it's just, I mean, these are, in my opinion, they're pretty mild, they're pretty mild things that you could try. But again, you could be right. Like what if someone had allergic reaction to it, or what if that thing, cause some people are they're allergic to random shit, but these things are pretty mild, and like magnesium before bed or zinc before bed. I mean, the worst some of those things are probably going to do is they might mess up your stomach a little bit. They might give you, you might have some like loose stool or something like that, but that would probably be the only thing that would happen from something like that.
Yeah. How was your trip to Bodega? You're back, right? I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I'm in super training gym right now. It was awesome. I love going there. It was great. Went out for a bunch of walks. There's really not a lot of people there. There's some like kind of older folks, but everyone keeps their distance from each other. And yeah, it was good. I was there with my wife and my kids, and we brought one of my daughter's friends. And my daughter and her friend it was 12:30 last night. I got up to use the bathroom, and I just see these like flashlights outside the house. And I'm like, what the hell's going on out there? So I go outside, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, we're going to go to the beach. I was like, can't go to the beach. You know, you got to get back inside. It's like, you know, the middle of the night. So anyway, my daughter was like, why? I'm like, I don't have time to explain this. I need to go back to sleep, you know? But, yeah, she came back inside the house, but you know, she's 12. So we're going to end up with some resistance here and there, I guess.
That's so funny because obviously, like, I don't have a kid, but you just think like something like that is so obvious, right? Like it's 12, you're 12, you're not going to the beach right now with your friend.
I know. And how many like Dateline shows, you know, how many, you know, shows you have to see of like missing kids or whatever, where it's like, she was going to go on a stroll with her friend. And then that was the last anybody's ever seen of her, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you know? Yeah.
Damn. Good catch.
You gotta watch
shit.
I know. I was like, hey man, I guess it's good that I wake up 17 times a night, you know?
Yeah.
All right, men. Thank you guys for taking the call, and we'll try to set something up for in another day or two.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. You want to take us on out of here, Andrew?
Yeah. We just had Jason Poston on, and he was talking about how following a low carb diet really, really helped him out.
My butt.
Yeah, everyone was getting a crotch shot the whole show.
It was a really good crotch shot, though.
Yeah, thanks.
So anyways, a really easy way to dive into the low carb lifestyle is with Perfect Keto. So shout out to Perfect Keto for sponsoring this episode. If you guys want to check it out, head over to perfectketo.com/powerproject at checkout. Enter promo code PowerProject for $25 off any order of $99 or more, and you get free shipping on that order. If you guys want to follow the podcast, it's at Mark Bell's Power Project, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. TikTok's been going nuts lately, so thank you everybody that's been hanging out there. My Instagram is at I am Andrew Z. If I was Nsima Inyang, where would I be?
Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark?
Speaking of crotch shots, I did a crotch cam of my squat yesterday. I didn't know that the 10-minute squat could be so confusing.
What do you mean?
People are really confused by it. They're like, what do you mean squat for 10 minutes? Like, do I squat for 10 minutes, or do I sit at the bottom of the squat? And then, like, do you move around, or you just sit there? And they're like, do you lean forward onto your knees more like a catcher, or do you sit back into it more? I was like, I don't know, man. Just fucking get down there and try to stay down there for as long as you can. And then a bunch of people wrote in. They were like, I can't believe how hard that shit was. A lot of people found it to be pretty challenging. So I've been staying on it. It's been feeling good. And I think I have about 8 or 9 days of it now, maybe about 9 days of it.
Wow.
Yeah, not too bad.
Not bad at all.
All right, peeps. I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch y'all later. Whoosh.